my name's Connor. Welcome back to Glass Goof. So today we have another glass demonstration for you. We're going to be doing a cane roll-up. We're making a white bottle. Today is all about happy mistakes. Things didn't exactly go as planned in the glass studio this time with this bottle, but when you're blowing glass, usually that happens. It's not always going to be perfect, so you need to be able to kind of pivot and make something different, even if it's not what you wanted to make in the beginning. So today is one of those days. If you want to know what cane is, check out this video. I'll link it down in the description below. But this bottle really came together nicely. I'm really happy with how it turned out in the end, and it's one of the bigger ones that I've ever made. So make sure you stick around to the end so you can see the end result. But let's go ahead and head down to the hot shop and get started. So these are those canes that I was talking about before. We have about 22 of them laid out on this Pastorelli plate that we've preheated. These canes are white glass with a little bit of clear glass on top of it. If you want to see a deep dive on cane, just check the description below, and we made a video about that just a few weeks ago. So now we have these all lined up, and I'll have Corey start to heat these up. We've got these in our glory hole, our reheating chamber, and now we're going to try to fuse them together. But while Corey's doing that, please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have any questions. We really appreciate it. So now I'll do a final size up. I've got some calipers in my hands. I'm just trying to make sure that my bubble is going to be the right size. And now we'll start that process. I've got my blowpipe, and we're going to start to gather some glass out of the furnace. We're going to cool down the pipe, and then I'll blow a bubble into it. And now that I've got my bubble in there, I'm going to go and get my second layer of glass. I want to have a nice, hot, fresh layer of glass so that I can pick up all of these canes exactly how I'd like to pick them up. So this is what I meant when I said happy mistakes. My bubble was way too big, my sizes were off, so there's a big gap in between where the cane started and ended. You'll start to see it more and more as the piece gets bigger and bigger. I also took a little bit too long to get it off the plate after it had been heated, so they didn't fuse together how they should have. So I'm going to try to manage this as best as I can, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to roll this on the marber quite a few times. I'm really trying to line all these canes up and push down as much as I can so that hopefully I can minimize the gap. You can see it slowly get smaller, but it's still going to be pretty sizable. So I've got these lined up about as best as they can be, and now I'm going to start to get rid of the excess cane that I have on the end. These cutoffs are always really cool. They end up being like a little cup, so I've actually got this on my shelf right behind me. Corey's going to come over with some paddles, and he'll go throw this in the annealer for me. Now we're going to start twisting these canes up. I'd like for it to be a nice equal spiral, so I'm going to start to twist and twist and twist. We'll go through these motions quite a few times.
I want to cap it and twist. Yeah.
So now we've got our tight white spirals all the way down the piece. We can still see that big gap where we messed up on the roll-up, but I like how it's turning out. We're trying to turn this into a positive instead of a negative. And now we'll put our final gather on. This is going to be a strip gather, so I'm going to take a heavy gather, get a lot of glass, and then I'll go vertical, and I'll let a lot of it just drip off. We'll take it over to the bench and use one of our blocks to rearrange that new layer of glass. This block tool that I'm using is made out of cherry wood and it lives in water. We have them in many different sizes and they help to rearrange new layers of glass after we gather. And now I'll use my newspaper tool to cool down the bottom while I have Matt blow so we can puff up this midsection. I'd really like for this wide part to get extra hot, so I'm hitting it with this big torch to really accelerate the heating. And now we're going to pull the neck for the bottle. So I'm using my jacks tool and I'm pushing away from myself. I'm really trying to pull the bulk of it off of my pipe so that we have a nice neck piece for our bottle. One of the difficult parts about pulling a neck on a bottle is that you also have to establish a jack line. So I'm about to start doing that now, where I'll put a small incision point in between my piece and the end of my pipe. This is where we want the piece to break eventually when we transfer it to a different rod later in the process.
Can you help me turn?
And now we'll use some gravity to stretch it out, and I'll have Matt inflate this while I cool the sides.
Give me some light air.
We'll do this again and again to really try to inflate the body of the glass. I have a decent amount of glass, so I know that I can really make this bottle much bigger.
Alright, and off.
And I've got Corey coming on with the paddle so that we can start to put a bottom onto our piece.
Do that one more time. He may have like a shit ton. He's always got like a plate of it. Oh, you have some in your... Yeah. You grab a 20?
Corey's now making what we call a punty. This is the new rod that we'll transfer it to, and he's shaping a small amount of glass on the tip of that rod so that we can connect it to the bottom of our piece and have a nice, good, established connection. We're going to tap this on and hope that I hit it in the center, try to even it out a little bit.
Alright, ready?
Matt, will you pull that yoke back a little?
Put a couple drops of water, give it a little tap, and we should be good to go.
Going up and drop.
So now we have the piece flipped over on a new pipe, and we can focus on the top half of the piece. I've got a lot of glass on the lip, it's very thick, so we're going to trim it off. We're going to do what we call a jack and crack. I will pull some glass off, and then we'll put another incision line, just like we did when we transferred the piece to a new pipe, and then we'll break it off.
She's starting to stand up yet?
We're pretty close to being done with the piece. I want to flare the lip and maybe inflate the body a little bit, do some finishing touches, and we'll be all done.
Okay, cool. Last thing I want to do is we'll try that Sofietto move.
So now we've put a few drops of water on our punty so it wants to break. I'll give it a few taps, and then Corey will take it away and put it in the annealer to cool overnight.
And we're good.
And here's our piece. I'm really happy with how it came out. You can see that we have that streak around the center, but I think that's all right. It kind of accentuates the piece a little bit. I kind of enjoy it now. So sometimes those mistakes can really turn into, things that you really enjoy about a piece. I'll remember making this, even though this is a mistake that happens quite often in the glass shop. So no worries, just move on to the next one.
So thanks for hanging out with us today. I really hope you guys learned something. I think I did too. So you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next demo.